because your activity level is this much, but your food intake is this much. I mean, your body's only gonna be able to sustain that much for so long, and then you're gonna crash, and then it's gonna take you days to recover. And then what we want is jump back on it like what we did last week. And it might happen, it might not.
Right.
All right.
What's going on, fam? Welcome to The Movement, where we discuss all things dance, life, and this profound, powerful dance through life. Whether you're a dancer, a little klutzy, or just a lot of curious, this show is all levels friendly, baby. So lace up and let's go. You know that feeling you get when you want to dance and live life to the fullest, but you're paralyzed and you can't bring yourself to move. You can't bring yourself to dance and mingle freely. That feeling of, I must forewarn everyone that I have two left feet just to lower the expectations and decrease the chances of complete embarrassment. I know that feeling all too well, because that is exactly who I used to be. Then through dance, I learned how to connect mind and body and to decrease that voice in my head that was so concerned about what others thought about me. I learned to increase the positive language as I spoke to myself and changed the course of my entire life dramatically. I want to help you overcome that same exact thing. Each week, I'll be holding a live class session where you will learn how to become the most confident version of yourself in dance and in life, while being able to ask any questions you have in a community of others just like yourself. Go down to hasdancecamp.co. That's HASdancecamp.co. I'll drop the link down in the description. I look forward to seeing you and building with you. Now let's get back to the show. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? How's life? How's your day? I hope it's wonderful. We are back with another episode 16
Whoa.
of The Movement. Why? Because I need to instill in you all, it's not about the movement, it's about what the movement. And if you're familiar with where we're at Caffeine and Fitness with the one and only Luis Valtieres.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for being here again, Melvin.
Yeah.
I know I enjoy doing this. It's an awesome experience to be able to collaborate and you know, tell the world what we're doing. You know what we've been doing, because we've been working together for the past few weeks, getting you ready.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is awesome.
Heck yeah, I'm super excited. I'm gonna turn this mic down just a little bit because I know last time there was a lot of extra feedback from my mic getting to your mic.
We're gonna cut that out of the video.
No, we gonna keep it rolling. What we're here to talk to you about today is just what my process has been throughout the duration of my dance career so far, and kind of some of the things that I'm dealing with that Luis is actually helping me out with a whole lot. So going back to about 2016, 2017, I was probably in some of the best shape of my life so far, and super ambitious when it comes to dance. I always like to learn new things, learn new flips, stunts, moves, combos, so on and so forth. And around that time, I was really into flips. I wanted to really push myself in the limits of my body. And that's exactly what I did. I learned a bunch of new flips. I was working on flares and all kinds of stuff for hours on end every single day. And I learned all the moves that I practiced, which is great, which was the goal. But then whenever I decided to chill out that following season and just work on some simpler dance moves and transitions, I actually injured my knee, and pain shot straight through the center of my knee. Took me a little bit to recover, but nonetheless, I was able to get back to doing flips and things and Fast forward to last year. Every year I go to this dance convention called Showstoppers Dance Convention. And keep in mind, y'all, I got my own convention coming up next month, November 12th and 13th, Movement Con Dance Convention. It's going to be fantastic. I'll tell you more about that later. So I go to Showstoppers Dance Convention every season. Last season, I went super, super hard. I was assisting, teaching the instructors on the stage. Fantastic experience. But I really pushed my body, really pushed my body. And whenever I came back home after the convention, you know, I had lessons to teach and things like that. So I decided my body is fatigued. I'm just going to chill out a little bit. So towards the end of the lesson that I had that following day, I allowed my body to relax. I took a step backwards and felt this very sharp pain through the center of my knee again, just like before in 2017. And except this time, it's been a lot more difficult to recover from, and it's taken so much longer to heal from. And, you know, I've tried, you know, seeing physical therapists and, you know, working out and going through physical therapy, but for some reason, I have a hard time with consistency, especially the knees take so long to heal that it can feel very defeating whenever I'm consistent for a long time and I see little to no results on the healing process of my knees. But that being said, my dance career and the success of my dance career, the progression of my dance career, does not care about excuses. And so instead of making excuses, I'm trying to find resolutions and solutions to rebuild that strength, because Showstoppers Dance Convention is next weekend. Actually, whenever I post this episode, it will be this weekend. So I've been working with Luis. He's been helping me out a great deal to get myself ready for this convention, because I need to go harder than I did last year. And then the following weekend, next weekend, is my dance convention. So I need to go twice as hard at my convention than I do at Showstoppers convention. And so, Luis, get into a little bit about like what we've been working on. We've been working for about like 6 weeks now.
Right.
Yeah,
So going back to what you said about not being consistent, I think what we need to explain is that you have been consistent on your dancing, on practicing, on all the teaching that you're doing, whether it's in classes in private, but there is just, you have been neglecting the part of fitness, let's say, which is the strengthening, and you have done it, but not as much as you need to. So, for example, if you are to work out for an hour straight a day or more, right, then you have to make time for your maintenance, for your recovery, which is, you could go get a massage, physical therapy, you can, you know, foam rolling, stretching, sauna, I mean, you name it. There's a bunch of things you can do. That all depends of what you're doing and what your body needs in order to recover, to recover, and so you're not too sore the next day. And that also comes in nutrition, hydration. So you are extremely active a lot, like compared to what a lot of other people do. Like, yeah, some people, oh yeah, I played, you know, an hour of soccer here, and oh, I did work out for an hour. I went on a run, a 5K, whatever, which is great. We want to be active. Again, we want to be active, people.
Be active
all the time. So, but in your case, your activity level is so much higher because not only you are spending time on your own progression of dancing, but also you are teaching 3 or 4 classes a day, a few times a week. So that time on your feet gets hired and gets hired. So your body feels great going nonstop, week by week. But then you slow down. You're like, I'm gonna take a day off, and what happens? your body's like, what's going on? So then that slowing down and you not paying so much attention to what you're doing could also be part of the cause of like, okay, this I'm going back to the pain on the knee, right? So a lot of the things that we were focusing on the past 4 or 6 weeks, yeah, it's coming up to 6 weeks, is strengthening, definitely strengthen, and protein, because we need that. All right, in order to strengthen or build muscle mass and also retain what we have, or even more, you gotta, that needs to go up too. Slowing things down to relearn, whether there's a movement pattern, or reteach the body how to move in different ways. And a lot of the things that you do are, whether there's a twisting or stepping back to the side and stuff like that, that impact, even if it's not a super high, like a jump or a stump, but you're still moving in different directions. So we also been working on that too, slowing down those movements to make sure that the right things are being engaged, to make sure that there is the right alignment of both sides, left and right, making sure that we're not overdoing something, because then again we train and then you go teach right away. So again, we want to make sure that, okay, yeah, we want to strengthen, but how far can we take that so you don't end up just extremely tired the next day or the next couple of days where you're like, I'm too tired, I can't move, or I'm too sore, whatever the reason is. And also we've been focusing on nutrition. You gotta eat more, because your activity level is this much, but your food intake is this much. I mean, your body's only gonna be able to sustain that much for so long, and then you're gonna crash, and then it's gonna take you days to recover. And then what we want is jump back on it like what we did last week. And it might happen, it might not.
Right.
All right.
You know that feeling you get when you want to dance and live life to the fullest, but you're paralyzed and you can't bring yourself to move. You can't bring yourself to dance and mingle freely. That feeling of, I must forewarn everyone that I have 2 left feet just to lower the expectations and decrease the chances of complete embarrassment. I know that feeling all too well, because that is exactly who I used to be. Then through dance, I learned how to connect mind and body and to decrease that voice in my head that was so concerned about what others thought about me. I learned to increase the positive language as I spoke to myself and changed the course of my entire life dramatically. I want to help you overcome that same exact thing. Each week, I'll be holding a live class session where you will learn how to become the most confident version of yourself in dance and in life, while being able to ask any questions you have in a community of others just like yourself. Go down to hasdancecamp.co. That's HAS dancecamp.co. I'll drop the link down in the description. I look forward to seeing you and building with you. Now let's get back to the show.
If you've been doing it for a long time, it might happen. But again, you're going through that roller coaster of like, you just go nonstop for a few days or maybe a week. But then you're like done for a few days. And those few days might not be enough to recover. And then you have to build back up. And then that's when we don't see progress. Because we feel like we're like starting back on, not on zero, but like, oh, I'm going back to the same thing I was doing a month ago, whatever, whether it's dance, whether it's working out, or I still feel, I don't feel stronger, I don't feel faster, I don't feel like I can keep up doing this, right? And for me, I've felt a lot more lately on my training, being that's, I mean, I've been sick for the past few weeks, so I just started training, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to work out again the same way I was a few weeks ago. And my body's like, no. That ain't happening. So yeah, it does. It's a horrible feeling because you feel like, well, I lost it, but not really. You haven't lost it all. Your body needs to just readjust, and you have to build back up to it. And a lot of times we have to like stop, reassess, evaluate the situation, and then okay, what do we need to do in order to execute better, more efficient, so I don't burn out myself. And kind of like what you mentioned earlier, which was a great point of, instead of making excuses, I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in order for me to continue this dance career, which I know you're not gonna stop.
Nope.
Right? Because you're very passionate about it. You enjoy it so much, and you've said that in the past to me that I can dance for hours. Right? So you have that, like, that's ingrained in you. Like, I'm gonna do this because I enjoy it, because I love the results, and on top of that, you get to teach it to other people, help other people, so they can also possibly get to that level.
Right.
But then, you know, there's other moving parts that need to be taken care of, or we need to like really pay attention so we can continue doing those things.
Right.
And it's a balance thing
Yeah.
of like, okay, I'm doing this much of this, but as I get older, as I do it more and more and more, your body will let you know right away. Like, no, this ain't happening today.
Right.
Or I can't do this again. So, and it's really hard for experienced people in whichever field, whether it's a, you know, athletes, certain sport, people that work out, they've been doing this for a long time. Like, you're going through the motions and doing your stuff, and then something kind of feels kind of weird, and like, that's new, and we keep going, and we might be able to push through, and we tend to ignore those little signs.
Yeah.
And that little bit it builds up to more and more and more and more, and then ends up being a major, let's say not major injury, but you're like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do squats for the next
Right.
few days. But instead of just stopping completely, let's reassess. Let's see what's going on. Test, move, have somebody look at you, because even if you look at your body and moving in front of a mirror, you're not really seeing what's going on from all angles.
Right.
And that's another thing that we've been working to make sure that your alignment it's the same in both sides. So as we get older, as we want to do more of this activity level, whatever that is, you know, we have to continue reassessing over and over and I tell people, even if it's something small, like, just slow down, even though you're trying to, I don't know, win or whatever it is, but is it worth it? Like, should you continue being in pain?
Right.
I mean, it's just one workout, or it's just 1 hour of this, or whatever it is. Like, you still have, you know, tomorrow and then the next day to do it again or to try. So it's a lot of reassessing, and like, do I need to do this right now, and is it worth it?
Yeah, for sure. And there was something that I heard, and they were talking about like work-life balance, but I kind of
You're like, what is balance?
yeah, exactly. So I just kind of like transitioned or like made that relevant to my dance life, and I'm like, okay, it's not so much balance as it is like rhythm, because with dance, especially like with some of my training regimens when it comes to dance, where I like put on like a 2 or 3 hour like mix and I just like go for the whole time, there's absolutely,
Which is insane, by the way.
yeah,
Can you imagine me doing kettlebell swings for 2 hours? All right, guys, I'm taking a week off. We're doing everything through Zoom. Yeah.
And it's like I can't, or I could go like 110% that whole 2 or 3 hours, but the quality as I go is not going to be the same, and I'm more susceptible to an injury.
Right.
Because even if I'm moving intentionally, I don't have the muscle control, the same muscle control that I did at the beginning, to make sure that I don't roll my ankle or that I'm using the right weight distribution. So it's about rhythm and knowing like, okay, I can go 110% at this point, and then like, okay, I'm feeling a little winded or maybe slightly tired. So let me work on my slow motion technique or my animation technique. And this gives me those windows of opportunity to work in some breathing, and it helps build that stamina and to be able to go longer at 110% without the risk of injury or hurting myself. But usually when I'm training, I'll go hard for a little bit, and then I'll switch up the rhythmic patterns and the beats that I'm hitting by using animation or waving or slow motion or floor work or maybe some contemporary techniques. And I feel like that's what it is for me, is like making sure I have the right rhythm. So making sure that even though I am going to dance every day just because I can't not, making sure that I don't do too much, and making sure that that pattern is
Keep talking. I have to use the bathroom.
is not too much too much dancing and not enough exercising or strength training or working out, because it's very, very, very easy to overdo one thing and not do enough of the other thing. And you could look at that as balance, but I still like to consider it more rhythm, because you take working out as hip hop and take dancing as contemporary. If I'm doing contemporary all the time and not doing hip hop, then my style's not going to be as unique, and I'm not going to have as much technique or as much variety or versatility to work off of. Yeah, so oh, thank you so much, y'all. Also, you see me looking over here to the right. Okay, we are back, y'all. I don't know what happened. It was just like USB unrecognized, and everything just stopped.
Sorry about that.
See if I can get back in my flow. But yeah, it's all about having that rhythm between exercising, strength training, and dancing, versus just dancing all the time and not working out. So let's get into, because there are two things that I want to touch on. Let's start on, first is going to be what I have been doing right with your help with like working out and some of the workouts we've been doing and what they've been targeted towards. And then I want to focus on the things that I've been having a hard time with. That way you can help me with that too, to help me apply some of those things. So of course I've been having knee troubles. And it started off injuring my right knee, and I guess something's worked because my right knee isn't hurting anymore. But I think all that time of overcompensating with my left knee, now my left knee is the one that's injured, and that's having some trouble whenever I walk upstairs or do reverse lunges or stabilizing things where it's like knee over toe, which are basic movements that as humans, like naturally we're just able to do for the most part, especially like
There's a lot of people that can't do that.
Oh,
A lot.
well, I need to be one of the people that can.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Yeah, but that's a topic for another day. Yeah. We won't get into that right now.
So what have we've been doing a number of different exercises, and a lot of them functional, which I really enjoy, because I can go to the gym and I can do isolated muscle workouts, the typical stuff that you see on YouTube and that bodybuilders talk about. But my goal is not to become bulky and show off muscle. My goal is to be able to.
But it's bulking season, man.
I'm good.
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you see on YouTube and like that other people are doing for strength, we are doing too. Like your compound movements, your squats, your deadlifts, those are major movements, exercises that we need to incorporate into the routine, because you can use a bigger load, which will allow you to get stronger, right? And no, you're not gonna get, ginormous by doing one set of deadlifts with 100 pounds or whatever. Like, it doesn't work that way. But we are working on building strength. So we are incorporating those movements, but looking at the functionality of the movements that we are doing, the reason why is because we're trying to simulate what you're doing on dancing with exercising. So we're slowing down the movement, and then from there we are adding weight. It's not a very heavy load, but that load challenges the movement in a different way, which was and allows you. Well, you need to slow down, and also helps you learn how to control the movement, and also we can figure out like, okay, where do you feel it? You have hear me ask you a lot, like, where do you feel when you do the movement, and are we that way we can target the right muscles and we can build up strength.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of the lunges, a lot of the different variations of squats and deadlifts, because again, you're from hip, knee, and ankle, which are the joints that are supporting those muscles. They need to be strengthened all around in order for you to move and function better, right?
Right.
And make them stronger. So I'm looking at what you're doing on your routines, when the stuff that you post, and you have shown me, and I'm taking those movements and I'm breaking them down and adding some sort of load, or maybe just focusing on one thing to make sure that that particular movement pattern is being done properly, efficiently, and a lot. Because again, if we go back to you doing this routine for 2 hours, like, the quality of movement goes down because you're doing that same thing 100 times. So by the time you get to 70, 80, whatever, quality of movement goes down, and you might, and a lot of times if you don't slow down, that gets even worse. Right. So, but the one thing that you are doing well is switching it up, going from this type of routine to this, and switching it up, which allows you to, like you mentioned, catch your breath, and get what's it called? I just lost it. I hate when that happens. Kind of get some of your strength back, and then go back into it. Which does really good. So that's a sign of, like, okay, I know that by 10 minutes or that 15-minute mark of doing this, I'm gonna feel this way. So you slow down and you switch it up and do something else, but you're still moving. And one thing that you can do, as you move on forward, and we continue to train, but on your own, whenever you have those long sessions. So this week you did 20 minutes of this. The goal for next week is to do 25 at the same pace. And of course, but you're still paying attention of your movement pattern. You're still paying attention to, like, knees specifically, because those are the ones that have given you issues, right? So you can do the same thing, but can you slow it down times 3, times 5 for the same length of time, and it's gonna feel completely different.
Right.
And that way you can pay attention to your movement and be like, oh, right side feels this way, left side feels this way. Or I can easily, kind of like what we did the other day with the slider, when we were like swinging the leg around. If you notice, like, how one side, you were able to move it a little bit easier than the other one.
Yep.
All right. So that's one way to see how your movement, to see if both sides are moving the same.
Right.
And we're gonna continue pushing on lifting a good amount of load, just because we want to continue strengthening.
Right.
And you're not gonna get bulky. You're not gonna get huge. Not saying that you can. Of course you can, but in order for that to happen, you're gonna have to eat a lot. right? And that's not your goal, because if you get bigger, that means that your dancing can slow down. That means that like mobility, flexibility is gonna decrease because you have more muscle mass. So right now we want to continue strengthen, and if you put on size, it'll be probably, and most likely, it'll be on lower body, and mainly on quads, and all the muscles around the knees, because you're on your feet a lot.
You know that feeling you get when you want to dance and live life to the fullest, but you're paralyzed and you can't bring yourself to move. You can't bring yourself to dance and mingle freely. That feeling of, I must forewarn everyone that I have two left feet, just to lower the expectations and decrease the chances of complete embarrassment. I know that feeling all too well, because that is exactly who I used to be. Then through dance, I learned how to connect mind and body, and to decrease that voice in my head that was so concerned about what others thought about me. I learned to increase the positive language as I spoke to myself, and changed the course of my entire life dramatically. I want to help you overcome that same exact thing. Each week, I'll be holding a live class session where you will learn how to become the most confident version of yourself in dance and in life, while being able to ask any questions you have in a community of others just like yourself. Go down to hasdancecamp.co. That's HAS dancecamp.co. I'll drop the link down in the description. I look forward to seeing you and building with you. Now let's get back to the show. All right. Y'all, I don't know what is happening right now.
Technology.
First the mic, and then my camera just died, so I'm switching over to the phone camera. And luckily this is pre-recorded, so it's going to be a lot easier to get that transferred over, because last time I recorded on my phone, to transfer that video over took like at least a day or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ridiculous. Technology is like, it's smart, but it's dumb at the same time. But yeah, that's been like a lot of help, having you like help me with, like, first of all, get y'all a trainer like Luis. And if you're in the area, just
Caffeine and Fitness.
Come
Man.
to Caffeine and Fitness, because you need a trainer, especially if you're an athlete of a specific type, or if you're a dancer or whatever the case may be. You need someone who can go and look at some of the things that you're doing, some of the movements that you do repetitively or that you're needing to do. Someone that can analyze you and tailor your regimen and your workouts, your nutrition, to exactly what you need it to be. And that's been super helpful for me. Is like, before coming to train with Luis, sometimes like I would wake up and like it felt kind of hopeless, because I'd still have classes and stuff that I need to teach, but my knee is like acting up, or and I don't know what to do, because I've tried doing like the workouts and everything on my own, and it just doesn't work for me. And so I need that extra accountability, and someone who like knows what they're doing, who can see what I need to do. I can show them videos and they're like, okay, here's how we're gonna tailor this workout to work for you. And so some of the exercise that we do slowed down, like the reverse lunges, and making sure that my hips and my knees are even, because I've had to show favoritism on one side or the other for so long that
Right.
I just don't realize whenever I'm doing it. So maybe we're doing like a lunge and my left knee is like turned inward when it should be like out, or maybe my foot is too far behind my other foot when there should be like some space to like balance it out. And I know there's been exercises that have helped me with becoming more explosive again, because I know we had talked about me not being able to do flips anymore, me not really being able to like jump or run. And
yeah, like we test the squat jump, and then instead of like going straight into like from one end to the other one, like squat like a regular squat too, and a squat jump or like a high jump, it's like, well, no, like you're missing the middle part.
Yeah.
Which is like the slowing down the squat, the eccentric one, and also instead of going that to a jump, you add a calf extension instead of going to the jump straight away, and then you add a small jump, and then you go into a explosive and more explosive jump, with the goal to work on that landing. So a lot of times people don't, end up landing just flat-footed, and that's terrible for the joints.
Right.
Like you can only do that so many times or for so long. And then you're gonna start getting pain, or something's gonna start bothering you. So those movements in the middle are a lot of times what we miss, because we want to go from one end to the other one, to like, whether it's to get stronger, get better, get faster, whatever. Yeah, but the stuff in the middle needs to be done too.
Yep.
And again, like you mentioned with your training, we've been doing things that you already do in a regular basis, but we're just slowing it down, and like, okay, that movement needs more attention than this other one, or like we're just doing kind of the opposite of the movement too, because it's being neglected. So think about a push-pull. A lot of people, I have a lot of clients that do a lot of push-ups every day, and I'm like, I ask why. I always ask the reason why you do something. And they're like, oh, just because I want to get good at push-ups. I'm like, okay, that's good. But then they have bad posture. Why? Because it's a same motion over and over. There's never an opposite. So there always has to be the same amount of pull movements you do the same amount of push movements.
Right.
To balance it out. So kind of the same thing with you. Let's say that you're doing, it's all lunging back and forth, forward and back, and stuff like that, whatever, then let's look at that and let's kind of reverse it and see which ones you're not doing that are not allowing you to perform to the max or to the best, but it could give you that little bit more to do better, longer, and avoid injury. Right? So that's what I've been doing, just breaking it down. And like, okay, this is what he's not doing in the routine, in your own dancing. So that's what we gotta do. We gotta add it to it to get to achieve a complete package.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been super helpful having, because I know for a while I was just so focused on legs, and I didn't really necessarily know exactly what to work out on legs. I was just like, I need to work out legs of some sort.
Right.
That I stopped working on my core, and just wasn't being as intentional with how I was using my muscles and what muscle groups I was using. And one thing that's been super helpful with Luis is he encourages me and shows me how to engage certain muscle groups to make sure that I am engaged and not just haphazardly, just kind of like going through the motions, and show me how to do motions properly, which translates in my dance, because I do a lot of different movements. My range of motion whenever I'm dancing is limitless. So I do floor work, I do jumping things, turning things, pivots, all kinds of crazy things, lateral side to side movements. And I'm sure some of those movements, even though I have great body control and I'm aware, I listen to my body very well, maybe I wasn't doing some of those movements right. For example, whenever he was showing me how to do reverse lunges, I didn't have my weight in the right place when I was doing them at first, which put my hurting knee, my left knee, in a position of weakness, because the weight and the engagement wasn't distributed evenly or properly. And he was able to look and be like, how does that feel? I'm like, well, I'm feeling some pain. He'll have me do it again, and he'll be like, okay, this is what's happening. And so now I've been able to translate that into my dance whenever I do reverse lunge type movements, and I don't feel that pain the same way, or if it even at all. I only feel pain sometimes, like whenever I have bad days. And because I'm still going through the re-strengthening process, I'm gonna have my bad days. But I don't have bad days nearly as frequently. And I've had some days where I'm actually able to run again and stop and kind of juke. And I was out uh, like a like last weekend, and I was able to like run around with my dog and kind of play with her, and that was nice because I haven't been able to do that in a very, very long time. And now I'm able to, even though it's on a very small scale, I'm not back to doing flips and things yet. I'm not back to doing flares yet, but I am able to do a squat jump on a small scale. And it's about taking those little steps and not being overly ambitious or allowing myself to get anxious or upset with where I'm at now, because I have to allow this progress to happen naturally.
Right.
And I feel like we're on the right track because I'm able to have days where I can do things that I haven't been able to do over the past year and a half or two. So that's been like incredibly helpful. Get you a Louis, the caffeine and fitness.
99-pound road Azure. I'm kidding. Yeah. Just going back to the balance of what you're doing every single day, because like I always ask my clients, like, hey, what are you doing today? What are you doing, stuff like that when they come to class or I train them. And you hear the typical like you work and pick up the kids and stuff like that. And yeah, it's moving. You're moving, but it's a different kind of. This is a different level of moving, and different level of activity level that everybody has. And I have a few people like you who are always just nonstop, and a lot of them are runners, and they do all this crazy races throughout the year. I did one a little while ago, and my body hurt for a long time. But it was a great experience. It was a great challenge, and it's constant training, it's constant moving. And the reason why I started saying constant training is because they're getting older, so their body takes longer to recover, but they still want to do this amount of stuff. All right? And there's, let's say in your case, dancing. You want to dance for this many hours, and you're going to do it every single day no matter what, because you enjoy it, because you want to. So you're now realizing like, okay, in order for me to do this much, I have to also create time for this, whether it's working out, whether it's physical therapy, whether it's maintenance, or just slowing things down to the point where like I'm still moving, all right, and not being so hard on yourself. I'm like, well, I wasn't able to do this much today, but I was able to move. So there's always gonna be those days of like, today didn't feel like I did much, but that's a lot of times that's just your body telling you like, hey, you just gotta slow down a little bit, because after that, if we don't, then injury happens,
Right.
or it's just something minor that we'll be able to push through, and we keep doing that, and we don't really address it, and it just like then you're out for months, right? And it's a lot of times it takes a big injury to realize that.
Right.
And I've been there with both of my shoulders and both of my elbows. I couldn't do upper body for months, but that was because I was overdoing my workouts, and sometimes it was 2 workouts a day, and it was super high intensity workouts that one day both of my shoulders went out, and that was it for 4 months. So it's like, okay, I know what it feels like to be sore. I know what it feels like to have like a sharp pain in a joint and stuff like that, because I've had them pretty much all before. So I stop, reassess, and I always again ask myself like, is this worth it, or should I keep doing this, and just like switch the movement. So go back to you doing lunges. So how many versions of lunges have we done?
Countless.
Right. So and that's the beauty of just working out in fitness. You can take one movement, and there are so many variations that you can do that will transfer the load to a different part of the muscle that could help you continue lifting, get stronger, and not be in pain.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's just speed. You got to slow it down.
Yeah.
You have to slow down because, you see a workout, a routine or whatever, and it's like, all right, nonstop for 30 minutes. And like I said before, I don't think I can swing that kettlebell for 30 minutes.
Right.
Right? But I know it's different than dancing, but it's like, okay, what's my pace going to be? Like, are you analyzing and strategizing before you start your dance routine? When you're training by yourself, are you doing that?
I am. It depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes, so there's always a strategy, whether it's like a very simple strategy or an in-depth. Sometimes it's like a simple strategy of like, okay, I have like an hour, I need to go train popping. So I'll put on a popping playlist and I'll just like train popping. Sometimes I'll just freestyle it. Sometimes I like run drills where I'll do a certain amount on each arm, each body part. And sometimes it's more in depth where I'm like, okay, I have more time. These are the things that I have trouble with that I need to work on.
Work on it, yeah.
So my training is really intentional when it comes to dance.
Good. That's really good because you are analyzing it before you actually get moving because this is the outcome. This is what I wanted. This is what I want to do. And I mean, this is one thing that I teach in my classes. Like before you start your workout, especially long ones or heavy ones, like analyze it. That way you can strategize and you can perform better. Now that doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but that's part of the test.
Right.
It's a constant test that you're doing, and you should. And now everybody's in a different level, but I believe that if there's no challenge in a workout, right, you didn't do that much. All right. If you would, a lot of times you just go through the motions because you're having a terrible day or whatever, and you're just like, I just want to move, I want to be, want to get out of the house or whatever, and that's fine. But if it's always the same, you're not being, you're not like thinking about the goal or making progress or whatever, like you're not really going to see progress, or you're not really going to see the results that you want to see if you're just going through the motions.
Right.
So, being intentional in that area is very important, and I'm guilty of it too, where I only have so much time to work out, and I'm just like, all right, kettlebell, barbell, let's go, just because I only have that much time, and even though I have something that I'm following, but I mean, sometimes it takes me 30 minutes to warm up, and I'm like, well, I only have 10 to lift. What am I gonna do?
Right.
So it's like I had to switch it off to just working nonstop with no rest, different load, maybe switch up the movements a little bit, and just go so I can get something done.
Right.
Because just like you, like if I don't work out, I don't feel good.
Right.
So yeah, that's really good that you do that. That you do take the time to analyze what you're gonna do to have, and I feel like you will have a better outcome.
You know that feeling you get when you want to dance and live life to the fullest, but you're paralyzed and you can't bring yourself to move. You can't bring yourself to dance and mingle freely. That feeling of, I must forewarn everyone that I have 2 left feet just to lower the expectations and decrease the chances of complete embarrassment. I know that feeling all too well because that is exactly who I used to be. Then through dance, I learned how to connect mind and body and to decrease that voice in my head that was so concerned about what others thought about me. I learned to increase the positive language as I spoke to myself and changed the course of my entire life dramatically. I want to help you overcome that same exact thing. Each week, I'll be holding a live class session where you will learn how to become the most confident version of yourself in dance and in life, while being able to ask any questions you have in a community of others just like yourself. Go down to hasdancecamp.co. That's HAS dancecamp.co. I'll drop the link down in the description. I look forward to seeing you and building with you. Now let's get back to the show.
Doing that instead of like, even and although it probably happens where you're just like, 30 minutes, let's go. Gotta do something. Yeah.
So we have like 3 minutes left. Because speaking of rhythm and balance, have a massage that I got to get to.
Lucky.
And, and,
I have to go pay bills after this.
and so just really rapid fire, the things that I struggle with, and maybe you could just give me some quick tips, and then we'll close out with words of wisdom for our listeners. Is I struggle with nutrition because my schedule is so busy. Like, for example, today I just had to like run out and like get fast food, which I really did not want to do, but everything today is like back to back to back, so I don't have any time to like cook, and I didn't really have anything to like meal prep with.
So like we go back to intentional. Mm-hmm. Like the same way you're intentional. Well, now you're dancing and teaching. It has become your lifestyle because that's your lifestyle. That's your life. That's your job. So now you have to be intentional about food. It's like, okay, if I want to perform this much or this, well, whatever, like my body needs fuel. Just like a car needs gas, it's the same thing, right? So, and you have heard me say a lot, like, get your protein. Like, it's super important if you want to, you know, not just maintain, but continue that, like, getting stronger. You need that. Every single macronutrient, your carbs and fats are also important too, but we tend to lack protein. So if you can meal prep, if you hardly ever have things in your refrigerator or your pantry, the other route is to hire me as your personal chef, right? Which could get expensive. Or you're gonna have to like order some pre-made meals. And there's some great companies out there that I've tried. There are like just packed with protein and super filling. And just because that way you know that you will have for sure at least lunch or lunch and dinner, and you take your breakfast and smoothies, protein bars, and yeah, you do want to get more whole foods and like your veggies and your fruits and like lean protein. And sometimes you're just like you said, you're back to back that you're like, well, my only option is fast food. But if you had some protein, instead of fast food, grab a protein shake from the store and keep some fruit with you, keep a jar of peanut butter and like an apple, and there you go. So there's ways around it. It's
That's
just
good.
you have to plan it. You have to like, okay, today it's my day off and I have 3 hours. I have to go get food. I have to go get all this and just spend that 1 hour or two making food. Because that's it. Either you have somebody make it for you, buy it, or you have to make it. And you have to just figure out which is going to be both ends, like financially and time-wise. Like, what do I need so I can get it? Because if not, I'm going to continue going to Chick-fil-A to get food.
Right. That's good. So y'all, if y'all struggle with this like I do, excuses ain't gonna cut it. So we gotta. I know. Sometimes I'll come up with so many excuses like I don't have time to cook or don't meal prep, yada yada yada. But these are simple things that protein shake only takes like a couple minutes to make, and you can buy the stuff in bulk and have.
Yeah, you can like take all the ingredients, put them in a Ziploc bag, and throw it in the freezer.
Oh,
and there you have it. And you just throw it in the blender, milk, whatever you put in, and there we go. So there's ways that you can kind of pre-made your meals, like that. For example, the smoothie. There's overnight oats. There's like you can make a bunch of protein muffins. Some people like take a bunch of their chicken and marinate it for the next week or two, and it's in bags in the freezer or in the refrigerator, and just get it out, throw it in the oven or the skillet or whatever, and then just make sure you have vegetables. Just make sure you have some greens. Like it's all about like trying to figure out what's gonna work for you. Because again, you might not be able to get 6 meals like some people do.
Right.
You might only be able to get 2 or maybe 3, but you still want to get all the amount of food that you need in order for you to continue performing. Because if not, like I said before, you might be able to sustain it for 2 days, 3, 4, 5, maybe a week, but then comes day 8 and you
Right.
And then you're like, why do I feel so tired? Why do I have a headache? Why? Well, on top of that, you haven't drinking enough water. You haven't been sleeping well. You're working like crazy, you know. So and then you still want to train. You still want to dance. So you just have to be more intentional on that end. And it's probably one of the biggest ones for a lot of people.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, do you have any words of wisdom for our listeners? Like someone who, someone who struggles with the nutrition, that health, rhythm and balance.
So feel like a lot of people end up going to the internet and they'll just type something or they'll do something that they see somebody like whether it's famous or influencers doing or whatever. This is the key to this. If you do this, you'll lose this, or like, you know, or this is the secret what's it called, the meal plan for this. And that's not really the case a lot of times because our bodies are different metabolism. I mean, you name it. I can go down the list. So if you don't have done something that didn't work, two things. It could be that you didn't do it long enough to see the results, or to really like get used to it and let your body between that and fitness work together. Or it was you were not paying attention to certain things. And a lot of it is you're not eating enough protein. We eat too much carbs. Like and if you don't meal prep, if you tend to eat a lot, then you're gonna have to pay more attention to that. So you gotta pick places that you can get more lean protein on the plate.
Right.
And that has to be the first thing. Protein on the plate first, and then everything else after. All right. And if you don't know what to do, you have to get a second opinion. Like ask questions. Somebody that you know that it's whether it's a nutritionist, a registered dietitian who will tell you exactly how much you need to eat. I, as a trainer, can't tell you how much. I can give you a ballpark, so you can have a baseline of how much to eat throughout the day to do what there's maintain, lose weight or gain mass, right? And then from there on, we have to like, okay, let's go day by day. Like, did you get all your numbers? Was it hard? How did you feel? Did you like all those things? So a lot of it, when it comes to nutrition, it's having the right information that is gonna work for you. Okay, and there's a lot of information out there that could be misleading, but there's also a lot of great information. You have to just do your research, ask questions, not just go with the first thing. Because there is a lot of people out there who just trying to make money off people, and there's other people who really want to help, who like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done, give it a shot. Not just like, yeah, this is it, this will fix everything. Like,
Right.
don't go that route.
Don't go
right?
that route. Yeah.
So yeah, ask questions. If you don't know what you're doing, or you just don't know where to start, whether it's the nutrition part or fitness, like ask questions. Like find somebody, whether it's local gym, or even if you don't have a gym, just research it. Ask other people so they can point you out to somebody that knows what they're talking about. They have the right information that you need. And if you can't find somebody in your area, caffeineandfitness.com. I hear they're doing some okay stuff over there.
There you go, caffeineandfitness.com. That's all the time we got for you today. I got a skedaddle. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Luis, thank you so much for joining. And
yeah, man, of
your
course.
wisdom.
This is fun.
Showstoppers Convention, I'm coming for you this weekend. Y'all not ready. I come harder every year, and because of Luis, this season's gonna be crazy. Movement Con Dance Convention next week, November 12th and 13th. It's going to be fire. Head over to hasdancecamp.co. That's HAS dancecamp.co. Go to products, click on Movement Con Dance Convention. Go ahead and register. You do not want to miss it. This lineup is crazy. Do not miss it.
Also, all this information is going to be on my page, caffeineandfitness.com. And I will post it on my social media too. So you guys can head on to his page, and if you have any questions, ask him.
and you can head over to his page. If you got any questions about fitness or how you can get linked up with him, send him a message. Don't hesitate. And on that note, remember, it's not about the movement. It's about what the move meant. We out.
Rise and grind.
Rise and grind. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Movement. Why? Because it's not about the movement. It's about what the move meant. If you like this episode, please do me a huge favor by leaving me a 5-star review. And if you're not already, please go ahead, subscribe to the show, and share it with a friend, because I'm providing this valuable perspective so that you can level up as an aspiring dancer. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next Wednesday on The Movement.